Hello, Year 6. So welcome to our second lesson for our new literacy tree for The Last Wild. Just to give you a quick recap of what's happening so far in the book. So we've been introduced to the main character of Kester. Now, Kester is in a place called Spectrum Hall. Spectrum Hall is a school, but it's not a school like anything we know. And in fact, it's more like a prison. And at this school, they are served Formula A, which is that gloopy stuff that we saw when we were in school. And apparently this is the only food left in existence, only food left on Earth. Kester also can't speak. So since his mum died a few years ago, he's lost the ability to speak. He used to be able to, but now he can't. And it's something that he's trying to be able to learn. He's trying to learn to speak again, but the doctors at Spectrum Hall aren't particularly helping him with that. The other thing we found out is all the animals on the planet, or all the animals on the island, have gone extinct, and there are no more animals and no more fruits and vegetables, which is why they're having to eat this formula. The only animals that are left are varmints, which are, as Kester calls them, all the useless animals like cockroaches and spiders and flies and pigeons. Okay, so we are going to read a little bit more of the story. So there's 3 questions on the board to sort of keep you focused on what I'm reading. If you can make sure you've now got a piece of paper in front of you and a pen, so you can pause this video and make sure you've got all the equipment you will need. Okay, so I'm going to start reading now. So as we're reading, think about Kester, think about his feelings, because that is what this lesson is about today. So a noise in my head snaps me back to the present, not a metallic rasping I heard in the yard, more a high-pitched whistle like a boiling kettle. A whistle that seems to contain words at the same time. There is no one else down here. I shake my head as if the noise was a buzzing fly, but it doesn't go away, and I force myself to look at the spider, sitting calmly on the floor, every one of its 8 eyes watching me. The whistling gets louder and louder in my head as if the kettle is about to explode, until the ear-piercing shriek begins to slowly form into a word floating and twisting inside my mind. Listen. So I do. But all I can hear is a slap of sandals coming down the corridor, and the door sliding open, while the spider scuttles back into the shadows and squeezes through a super thin crack into the wall. I think I'm beginning to go mad. They said this would happen if I didn't talk to anyone, that I would start making stuff up. Imaginary friends. Dr. Fredericks turns on an overhead lamp, shining it right in my face. I squirm away from the blinding light towards the floor, trying not to look at his chipped toenails. But he doesn't say anything like hello or how are you today. He's called a doctor, but he isn't the kind of doctor who makes you stick out your tongue and puts a cold stethoscope on your chest. He does wear a white coat, it's true, but it's the only thing doctorish about him. I catch a whiff of black currant. The pockets of the doctor's white coat are full of black currant cough sweets, and there's always one in his mouth. He turns on the tap in the corner and begins to scrub his hands. Name, he says, his mouth full of little lozenge. He knows I can't speak. He knows. Name, he says again. I just look blankly at him. Dr. Frederick sighs. James Kester, you were seen handling a varmint in the yard. He's drying his hands on the sheet of paper towel. I know what's coming, but I don't care. The cockroach doesn't have a virus. The cockroach is my friend. He tried to speak to me, I think. Did you or did you not handle a restricted insect, young man? I stare straight ahead. A bristly hand knocks me around the back of my neck. I continue to stare straight ahead, trying not to wince. The doctor sighs and sits down behind his desk, like he's still waiting for me to say something. After what feels like forever, he gives a long, drawn-out breath and begins to pick at his nails, still not looking at me. His voice is softer this time, trying to sound casual. Do you know why you're here, Kester? Haven't you ever wondered? I can't help but smile and shake my head. I'm not going to show him that I care. The less you give away in here, the better. He waves his hand crossly at the world above our heads. Do you think all of this is a joke? The quarantine zone, the glass roofs? Do you think Mr. Stone, he turns and glances at the picture of his boss on the wall behind him, is having a jolly good laugh? He leans forward suddenly, and now he's looking at me, and I catch a glimpse of bloodshot eyes behind the thick glasses. Does it ever occur to you that you might actually be here for your own good? That we might actually be trying to dash it to blazes, protect you? I shrug and stare through him as blankly as I can. The doctor leans back in his chair and glances up at the ceiling again. There's still so much we don't know about the virus, where it came from, how it spread so jolly quickly. All we know is that it mutates without any sign or any warning from animal to animal. He fixes me with a bleary glaze. To humans, to varmints one day. Our best scientists are sure of it. It's not a question of if, but when. Do you understand me, boy? I shrug. I've heard the lecture many times before. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Why were you handling a varmint in the yard? Is there anything you would like to tell me? I try to speak, to tell him something. Just any word. Not what actually happened in the yard, just a simple word to keep him happy. I do. I try so hard. But no word comes. My body sinks into the chair with the effort. Well, he waits. Nothing? Ah, well. What a shame. What a dashed pity. He stands and begins to pace up and down the room. So young, Janes, the son of the great Professor Janes. Here it comes. Do you think that makes you different? Do you think that makes you better than anyone else, eh? He leans into my face and his whiskers brush my cheek. Do you think it makes you special? I look down at his big white toes in their sandals and think, you're pretty special yourself, Doctor. But he grabs my chin and he twists it back up so I have to stare at him. Your dear father also thinks he's better, you see, than the rest of us. He laughs, although it sounds more like hiccups. Less honourable scientist, he continues, through the hiccupy laughs, doomed to spend our jolly old days working with wretched specimens such as yourself. I don't know why he keeps calling Dad an honourable scientist. He was just doing his job as a vet. A very good vet, mind, perhaps the best in the country, Mum said. He had the magic touch. That's what they called it. No animal too small, no disease too big, he always said. Animals in farms, animals from the house next door, animals on the other side of the world, until the virus came. And all I am trying to jolly well do is keep my little delinquent charges safe and sound. He gives him a big smile, and it looks like fraggly yellow teeth are running a competition to see which one can fall out of his mouth first, which is why I have no choice, I'm afraid. I look at the shut door, at the picture of scowling Solwyn Stone. None of them offers any advice or any help as the doctor gives me my sentence. You touched a restricted insect. You know the rules. He presses a button under the desk, and the door slides open to reveal 2 wardens in the corridor, waiting for me. Take him back to his room, says Dr. Fredericks with a wave of his hand. Quarantined for 7 days. Total isolation. The wardens haul me back to my room and lock the door behind them as if nothing had happened. 7 days, stuck in here because I thought an insect was talking to me. Sat up against the wall, clutching my pillow to my chest, I try to focus on the world beyond my window. A solid black sky, but no rain. I try to think of happy things, like being back at home. I'm helping Mum unpack the shopping. I've said something to make her laugh, and then Dad comes in, holding his favourite mug full of tea and joins in. And we're laughing and cooking dinner, and we're happy. And everything's normal again. I don't know how long I stay like that, curled up in my bed, clutching my pillow. And at supper time, they shove a bowl of eggs and ham formula through the hatch in the door. But I don't feel hungry. Sleeping, staring, untouched formula bowls piling up on the floor. That is how my life is until 7 grey skies have been and gone since I was taken to the doctor's room. That evening, I had the strangest dream. I'm dreaming that I'm asleep in my room at home when there's a faint noise at the window. A tap, tap, tapping. I try to ignore it and roll over, but the noise just keeps on getting louder and louder. My head is pulsing, half dreaming, half awake. I toss and turn, feeling my pillows, the cold wall behind, confused as to whether I'm at home or in the hall. The tap, tapping grows louder and louder like a drill inside my brain. And then, with a jolt, I wake up. I'm definitely in my room at Spectrum Hall. I'm freezing. I'm freezing because the window wall has a jagged hole smashed right through it, and in the moonlight I can see shards of broken glass all over the floor. Carefully I climb out of bed, trying not to step on the jagged edges, when some feathers hit me on the head. I'm going to leave it there for today. So, let's think now, what have we learned about Kester and Spectrum Hall so far? So hopefully you've made a note of things. So I feel like we've learned quite a bit about Kester. We've learned that obviously he's quite lonely. We've learned that he's begun talking to these varmints and he started talking to these creatures. And we've learned that Spectrum Hall is not a very nice place to be. It's not where I would want to be. And it does feel a little bit like a prison. Kester says that Dr. Fredericks is not like a normal doctor. And I would agree, wouldn't you? He doesn't seem like he's actually trying to help Kester. And then how do you think he's feeling? I think he's feeling quite lonely, do you? He's all alone, isn't he, at this place? There's no one there for him. He's not got any friends. He can't speak to anyone either, so probably feels quite isolated and perhaps even frustrated because he's not been able to talk to people. Thoughts and emotions, I think we've covered some of them. I think it's that feeling of loneliness that he's got, of complete and utter isolation, perhaps desperation as well. Right, let's move on to the next part. So today we're going to be using abstract nouns to write a character description. So when we talk about abstract nouns, we're talking about nouns, names of things, and it's nouns that you can't touch. So normally, and in this case today, we're going to be doing abstract nouns as in feelings. So feelings and emotions, which is something that you can't touch, which is why it's an abstract noun. So we're going to use a range of abstract nouns. We're going to use conjunctions to give reasons, and we're going to use show, not tell. Now, show, not tell is interesting. It just means instead of saying Kester is sad, we need to explain, we need to show that he's sad. Okay, so what is he doing to seem sad? What is he doing to act sad? Okay, or lonely. Right, so this activity here you have got on your sheet. So the sheet that's on the school website that you should have in front of you or near you, this is an activity I want you to do. So you are connecting these words to the suffixes. So you've got ness, ment, dom, and shun. And you're going to connect these words to the correct suffix to create an abstract noun. So I would like you to have a go at this on your own first. So I would like you to pause this video and I would like you to have a go at this activity. Okay, I'm going to go through the answers and see whether or not you've managed to get them right. So we've got banish first. So banishness, banishment, banishdom, banishen. It's obviously banishment. We've got lonely, loneliness, boredom, hopelessness, frustration, which is over here, bewilderment, isolation, unhappiness, powerlessness, freedom. We've got abandon, we've got abandonness, abandonment, abandondom, abandon, so it's abandonment, helplessness, abject, and abjection. There we go. Right, let's move on. I hope you've got them right. So make sure you've marked the ones that are in front of you so you can see how you've got on. So your next activity. Okay, so I hope you've got your answers from the previous slide because that will help you a little bit with this one. So you've got, it's a roll on the wall. So you've got a person here, the blue person, which is our Kester. We're going to put inside Kester, we're going to put how Kester is thinking, so what Kester is thinking and how he's feeling. So for example, if you look at the previous one, you might want to put like loneliness, or you might want to say that he's hopeless or that he's powerless. Okay, so for example, if we want to say that he's powerless, we would write that and we would put it inside Kester because that's how he's feeling. Powerless. So we type that and we put that inside of him. So inside of your Kester, you're going to put how he is feeling inside, how he's feeling, what he's thinking and what he's feeling. So inside, you're going to put any sort of emotions he's feeling. And then around the outside, you're going to put other people's perceptions of him. So what do we think that other children or the doctors at the school, what they think of him. So for example, you might say that they think he's weird. Okay, so this is the activity I want you to do now. So I would like you to pause this video and have a good 5-10 minutes and put in words inside of Kester about how he's feeling, about what he's thinking, and around the side what other people think of him. So perceptions just means what people think. Okay, so pause this video and have a go at this. Okay, so if you've had a go at it now, let's have a look at one that I did. So these were just a few little things that I put in. So I put like he's feeling loneliness, he's feeling sadness, he's feeling unwanted perhaps, helpless. And then other people I thought maybe they think he's weird or a bit of a loner, a bit crazy maybe because he's been talking to varmints, and a bit strange. So around the outside I'm putting what I think. So this is your activity for today. So we're moving on to your activity today. You need to write a character description for Kester. So you're going to use your role on the wall that you've done. So where you've said that perhaps he's feeling lonely or isolated. You're going to then make a role, turn your role on the wall into a character description. So this is one that I've written here. So I'll read this to you. An overwhelming sense of loneliness fills Kester Jones' heart. Sitting in his corner for lunch, with no one for company, shows us the isolation he feels. He shares his food with a varmint and practices speaking with moths and cockroaches due to the lack of support and encouragement from others. They call him Freak because he is different. Kester is beginning to believe this now, since he is convinced he heard the cockroach's voice. Okay, so what you need to do now is you need to have a go at turning your role on the wall that you've done, so this role on the wall, you need to now turn it into a character description. So you need to be using all of this that you've got as part of your character description, and you want to put full sentence. And if we go back to our success criteria, let's see what it said. It says you need to use a range of those abstract nouns, which we sorted, these ones here. So you need to use a range of these different words. So you could say that Kester's feeling frustration. He's feeling boredom, perhaps, because he's been locked in that room for 7 days. Maybe he's feeling quite bewildered, or he's in a state of bewilderment because he can hear these cockroaches talking. Maybe he's feeling powerless, or he's feeling powerlessness. He's feeling helpless. Isolation, perhaps he's feeling like he's in great isolation. So I want you to try and use these abstract nouns that we've sorted together. Okay. And then I also want you to try and use conjunctions to give reasons. So I want you to use conjunctions, for example, like because or as. We know that he's feeling frustrated. As, what does he do? What does he do to show that? You can say about him feeling quite sad or depressed even. He doesn't eat any of his food for 7 days. That shows you how he's feeling. So have a think now about what we've read. Have a think about his feelings. Perhaps use a little bit of empathy and put yourself in his shoes. How would you feel if you were Kester? How would you be feeling? And then have a go at writing yourself a character description, just like mine, okay? So I'll put mine back on for you, just to finish it off. So mine is there. So an overwhelming sense of loneliness fills Kester Jane's heart. Sitting in his corner for lunch with no one for company shows us the isolation he feels. He shares his food with a varmint and practices speaking with moths and cockroaches due to lack of support and encouragement from others. They call him Freak because he is different. So Kester is beginning to believe this now, since he is convinced he heard the cockroach's voice. So not only do you need to say about how he feels, but what do other people think about Kester? Okay, that's your activity for today. Once you've finished with it, could you please email it across to me and I will check it for you. Thanks. I hope you're having a really good day, and I will talk to you later.